period of October 2022 to September 2023, from the documents that we have, 4,118 Christians were killed. We all know about the Christmas massacre that was coordinated by the Fulani militias on the plateau in 2023. You know that 300 Christians were massacred. So you don't talk about Benue. Just within 2023, 500 Christians were killed throughout 2023 in Benue. And you go to this community, I've been there. The Christians are not there any longer. They have been displaced. So there is genocide in Nigeria. And so nobody can tell us lies when we know we have lost so much of our brethren. I have joined in the burial and the mourning of tens of thousands of Christians that have been destroyed and killed in this great country. All I encourage the Nigerian state is to rise up to occasion. Whether it is an attack on a Muslim, whether it is an attack on a church, we must stop it. There is genocide going on. And people are being eliminated, taken away from their community. And I want to say again, we cannot allow a one-party system in this country. It is not healthy. As much as we give our support to the system and the government to succeed, Nigeria cannot survive on one-party system. And I want to say to all these selfish, self-centered politicians, it is time you rethink your actions. Corruption among you must stop, and you must rise up for this time.
Il 13 e il 14 giugno nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello Stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma.
Let's observe a minute silence to the fallen heroes of Biafra, and the time starts now. We mourn our heroes past, we celebrate them. Our heroes living, we celebrate them as well as we continue to fight on to see that Biafra is fully restored. Ise, 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 Ise. Think Biafra, sleep Biafra, mourn Biafra, dream Biafra, morning Biafra, afternoon Biafra, night Biafra, and evening Biafra. I bring you warm greetings and I salute all of you for all your good works. Greetings to our leaders that have lived before us and those that are in detention now and those that are in the battlefield fighting to defend Biafra land. We salute all of you for all your sacrifices. Biafrans back home, thank you for your sacrifices, and we continue because we are yet to get to our final destination. A very big thank you to the PRGI cabinet for all that they are doing. A big one to our APM, the man of the moment, the man that everybody looks up to. I salute you for your courage and your resilience and your sacrifices. I salute Biafrans in the media who spend their time day and night to make sure the gospel of Biafra continue to herald in history. Your works are not in vain and will never be. We must continue because we have more enemies now than before. I want everyone to understand that we went to Washington, D.C. to recognize more enemies to Biafra. You know, there are things or there are stages we get to in life that you need to understand that you are stepping up. And as you're stepping up, your responsibility is increasing. The challenges you face increasing as well. Your enemies will also increase, and the task ahead of you will also increase. Our going to Washington, D.C. was not a showy display. It was business, confirmation of real business to tell the world that we are ready and we mean business this time for this Biafra independence. I keep saying it that we have done few things, remarkable few things in Washington, D.C. from July, August, September, October, November of 2025. How many months did I count? July, August, September, October, November of 2025. Let's say 4 months, right? And within these 4 months, you have seen the way the ripple effect or the resonance frequency of what we have done in Washington, D.C. with our physical presence. Within these 4 months, you have seen the resonance frequency of what we have done in Washington, D.C., the way it is resonating in Nigeria and the way it is resonating in the entire world. So meaning that Washington, D.C., America is where we need to be blowing the trumpet. If we want the entire world to hear us very loud and clear, America is where we need to blow the trumpet louder and louder. So if we had the two conventions that we had in Europe, if they were held in America, by this time the sky would have been a limit. By this time, the sky would have been our limit because the way American government would have keyed in, having known that you are declaring Biafra inside America, inside Washington, D.C. It is a very big honor to the American people to carry the glory that you declared Biafra independence in exile in their very before and in their own country, and then they will carry the glory. America love their names to be in history, and when their names are in history, they don't play with that history. They uphold it and then they live up to it. So, had it been the two remarkable conventions we had in Helsinki and also in Lati for Biafra were held in America, in Washington, D.C., or even in New York, or anywhere inside America, hey, the sky would have been our limit now. Just calculate. Calculate it and say something. From July, August, September, October of 2025, we've done few remarkable things in Washington, D.C. that recorded our presence inside Washington, D.C. And then look at the resonance frequency of it. Look at the resultant effect of it. Look at how it is blowing wind. Look at how thunder is emanating in Nigeria because of our physical presence in Washington, D.C. from July, August, September, October of 2025. But there is something wonderful that is loading. Yes. We went to the U.S. congressional briefing to open the door. And we opened the door. And all the bees, and all the mosquitoes, and all the flies, they let loose. Now we are going to open another door. We are coming.
Lo stato di Benue in Nigeria si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone.
Si è verificato un terribile massacro di 200% di persone, cristiani. over 200 Christians were slaughtered. They were massacred in broad daylight. Poblio is speaking. And he was speaking in June when the massacre happened. I asked a very simple question in the topic of this broadcast. And today's broadcast is going to be interactive. You can call in and express your views and give your contributions. Tomorrow is our fundraising. And as I am here, I am doing many other things. So if I am kind of muting myself intermittently, try to understand. All right. I put up a question on this topic. I said, I want to see evidence of evidence of Muslim genocide that was carried out or is carried out by Christians, I want somebody to come and tell us or challenge us or give us evidence of Muslim genocide that was carried out by Christians. And I am asking this question not just inside Nigeria. I'm asking this question for the global world. The global world. The global world. If there is any evidence of Muslim genocide that was carried out by the Christians, Muslim genocide, who carried out the genocide? You say it is Christians. You give us the evidences of this genocide that was carried out by Christians on the Muslims. You explain to us the location, you give us all evidences, you give us references. Let us go and check. We will open and bring those your references to the screen for everybody to see. We just want to juxtapose the argument when we are bringing this out to make people understand that Christians are the endangered species in this contraption called Nigeria. And people are coming out to say, no, they massacre Muslims. It is Muslim genocide. We are asking that we want to see Muslim genocide that is committed by Christians on them. We need it. Please, media team, if you have not paid up your channel, go and pay up your channel. I have posted the link in all the platforms where you normally get the links. I came in unannounced, so it's an impromptu. So please check the platforms, the media team platforms, and pay up your channels from wherever you're listening, please. We need evidence because without the existence of Biafra Defense Forces, which we tell you fund Biafra Defense Forces, without the existence of Biafra Defense Forces, the massacre that you hear 200 announced by Pope Leo was supposed to happen in Biafra land. But the Biafran people, brainstorming and defending the homeland under the supervision of the Biafra Defense Forces, are able to curtail and to push away the terrorists that are supposed to come and wipe their babies, women, and children. The massacre that happened here, which Pope Leo is talking about, consumed over 200 lives of babies, women, and children, and men. To every casket, there is a baby inside. To every casket, there is a child inside. To every casket, there is a toddler inside. To every casket, there is a mother inside. To every casket, there is a father, there is a grandfather, there is a sister, there is a brother, there is a great-grandfather inside. If Pope Leo is condemning the genocide as a pope, and then other people are saying otherwise, I am calling on all those that are coming to counter the Christian genocide in Nigeria to come up and give us contrary evidence. According to this topic, we need to see Muslim genocide evidence. And that evidence that you have to give us is that it is the Christians that are carrying out the genocide on the Muslims. That is the evidence we want to see. That is the evidence we want to see. Because, let us explain again, Biafrans are predominantly Christians. And let me bring our map that has the state-by-state structure to the screen, so that those that do not understand will get the message well and correct, because a lot of us are still skeptical or ignorant of some things. When you had us in the U.S. congressional briefing, stating and explaining to the United States government that there is a Christian genocide. And then we made it clear that this is Biafran genocide, that Biafrans are predominantly Christians. Some of you have grew up to hear that we are quoted to be over 80 million Biafrans. I want to ask you, how many of the people in your village do not go to church? From the boundary of Ondo to the boundary of the Atlantic Ocean here, to the boundary of Amazonia, to the boundary of Upper Benue, Upper Kogi, I want to ask, how many of your mothers and fathers do not go to church? Or how many of them do not kneel down to pray? How many? If you should count from this map, counting all the 40 states of Biafra here that have emerged, if you look at this map, it is only 1 or 2% of people that do not go to church. But they still call God and pray with God's name. You will see hear them shout Jesus. You never hear as native doctor shout Jesus, have you? Never hear as native doctor shout Jehovah, God. Okay, when native doctor say God of thunder, God of the water, God of the sea, God of light, God of fire. Who is that God of fire? Who created that fire? Who created the water? Who created the thunder? Who even created darkness? Who created all these things? God of the soil, God of the air, God of the sea, God of the moon, the rising sun God, God of the stone, God of this, God of that, God of... Who created all these elements? It is one God that created it, right? And that one God told us he has his only begotten son. So, whether at the end of the day you say you are traditional worshiper or Jewish worshiper, you're still calling God, right? So if we are to even calculate the traditional worshippers and the Jewish worshippers, the percentage is just 1%. Yes, because from where me I come from, my father used to pour drink on the ground and pray. And I also pour drink on the ground and pray. And when I pour drink on the ground and pray, I'm calling on God. I'm not calling on Satan. And then, when I also hear that they are singing and then praising God, I also enjoy the praises to God because they are still calling the same God. But just a different way of worship. Maybe I only pour drink and pray. Then the other person will open Bible and then read from the beginning to the end. But we are calling on still one God of creation. Oh. In Biafra land, 40 states, from the 80 million that we hear of to be our population, 99%, 99.89%, let me put it like that, 99.89% of that 80 million are Christians. It's only 0.00 something now that makes up the traditionalists and the Jewish there. So when we say that Biafrans are Christians and that there is a Christian genocide, we are talking of the Biafran people predominantly because they are the people here that are the Christians that we are talking about. And we want everybody to understand this because the Biafran people are the Christians here that we're talking about. We are predominantly Christians. The 80 million Biafrans are Christians. They are all Christians. So we are the endangered species that have found ourselves in the hands of the terrorists who wants to wipe us all out. And then, without the existence of Biafra Defense Forces, Hey, all of us wouldn't have been alive today. Oh. None of us would have been alive today. Our babies, our women and children, none of them would have been alive today if not the existence of the Biafra Defense Forces. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did not exist, and if the gallant men and women of Biafra did not exist, I don't know if we would have had a home that we can call our own today. I am still waiting for somebody that have evidence of Muslim genocide to bring it up for us so that we can learn from it today. We want to learn from the Muslim genocide that is carried out by Christians on the Muslims so that we can see how to apologize if our fellow Christian brothers have carried out genocide on the Muslims.
Sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato, e massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia, massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato, massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità del massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello Stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello Stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello Stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno.
Wait, oh, does it mean that there is no Muslim genocide here? Because I have been waiting to see somebody. I've been waiting to see somebody come up to let us know that there is Muslim genocide and it was carried out by Christians. So is there no Muslim genocide? Is there no Christian that has carried out Muslim genocide on the Muslims? Or is it only Muslims that carry out Christian genocide? I want to see Muslims presenting the genocide that Christians carried out. I want to see genocide that was carried out by Christians on Muslims.
Nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello Stato di Benue, in Nigeria, Si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza. Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200
I'm still checking till this time. Let me understand something. Is there no Muslim genocide that is carried out by Christians? If it is not in Nigeria, don't you see it in another part of the world? Don't you see it in another part of the world where Christians carry out genocide on Muslims? I need evidence. I want to see. I want somebody to come up here and say he has the evidence he wants to present to us. Please. Biafrans have been massacred as Christians. The Yorubas have been massacred as Christians. Even the Hausas have been massacred because many of them don't even know what they find themselves into. And many of the Hausas are Christians. Yes. If you see me play one video of a pastor now, the pastor is speaking and then he's speaking Hausa. So many of them are Christians. It is only the Christians that they target and then eliminate. I am asking a very simple and pertinent question. We want to see Muslim genocide that is carried out by Christians on the Muslims. We want to see. We are looking for Muslim genocide that is carried out by Christians so that we use it to juxtapose what is happening. Please, I need. No Muslim genocide. Okay, if nobody is able to give me evidence of Muslim genocide, so what do you now use to validate the Christian genocide? What is the crime that a Christian has committed that merits to be wiped out? What has Christians done that is a crime that now validates the terrorists to slaughter them? The Christians are not going after them to slaughter them. There is no evidence, because I have been here for the past 40 minutes now, and I have been asking for one evidence of where Muslim genocide was carried out by Christians. Christians. And then I ask now that someone should produce or bring it up. Tell me that you have the evidence. You want to come up to the mic. I will give you the link. You log into the studio. Just come up. We want to see one Muslim genocide that was carried out on the Muslim people. By who? By Christians. So up to now, 40 minutes going in this program, nobody can present evidence of Christian genocide to us. I don't believe you guys. So honestly, I don't believe. Oh. There should be evidence of Muslim genocide carried out by the Christians, which is now validating a reprisal attack on the Christians. That is what it should be, and that is how it should be. That is what I am looking for, to be able to validate what is happening. Because if Biafra Defense Forces did not exist, if Biafrans have not been funding them, if Biafrans have not been giving them what they need to carry out the defense of Biafra land, to protect our babies, women, and children, that means today, the 50,000 numbers, that is being pronounced here, all these 50,000 would have been Biafrans. And the number would have multiplied more than this. There are publications where the numbers are more than 50,000. There are publications where the numbers are up to 100,000. I think there is one publication from, is it Vanguard? Let me see. There's one publication from Vanguard that carries over 100,000. Okay, here it is on the screen. Let me bring this one up. This is Vanguard. And this is very clear. Now, I want everybody to look at the screen. Insecurity, 63,111 killed in Buhari's 8 years regime. Then, they give you more figures. They say 27,311 persons killed in president's first term. Now, 35,800 killed between 2019 and May 2023. Do you get the point? Now, total of 98,083 killed in 12 years. How many is that? 98,000. 98,000. 98,000. I am not the one that wrote this news of Vanguard, though. I'm not the one that wrote this news of Vanguard. This publication was released in May 20th, 2023. And you bought it at the price of 250 naira. Okay? So, I am just asking for a small evidence of where the Christians carried out genocide on the Muslims. Where the Christians carried out genocide on the Northerners. That is what I am asking, so that we can know where we got it wrong and where we have to start fixing it. But I have been here for the past 45 minutes now, and nobody in the comment section is ready to tell me that this is where Muslim genocide was carried out, and that it was carried out by Christians. I am still waiting to see. I need somebody to come up and give me factual evidence of where Muslim genocide was carried out by the Christians. So now, when you now check in 2018, you can see that from this Heritage Foundation have not been able to gather the statistics from 2002, not even from 2009. Heritage Foundation have been able to carry the statistics from only 2018. And even the 2018 statistics that they carried is not enough because they don't have their network to cover the entire Nigeria. So from 2018, 3,731 is what Heritage Foundation report was able to gather. Now, let me come back to everybody. My question now is, how many numbers of Israelis were slaughtered on October 7 that provoked the entire Israel and provoked the entire Israeli military? How many numbers of American citizens were captured by Boko Haram 3 years ago that provoked the American government that they send their professional snipers of the American military to enter Sambisa forest and kill few Boko Haram terrorists and rescue their 2 citizens that were there? Can everybody understand my point? I said, here in the Heritage Foundation report, 2018 to 2019 is giving you a time frame of 1 year. And then 3,731 people were slaughtered, specifically Christians. Christians. And then I asked a question. How many Christians or how many citizens of Israel were massacred on October 7 that necessitated the reprisal of the Israel military or the Israel people against the Hamas terrorists? How many? The number was 1,200. 1,200. But what is here on this screen now is telling you 3,731. And I did not see protests of Christians in the streets in Nigeria. I did not see protests of politicians in the street. I did not see protests of Nigerians in the street. I did not see protests of Christian Association of Nigeria in the street. I did not see protests of Northerners, Easterners, Westerners, and everything in the street. No. Because the Nigerian government buried this reportage. They did not allow you. They did not allow international community. They did not allow these statistics to come out to the media for people to know that this is what is happening to Christians. This is from 2018 according to the statistics of Heritage Foundation. Then in 2019 to 2020, you have another 1,350. And then you did not see anybody hit the streets. You did not see anybody protest. You did not see anybody shout and call on the freedom of Christians. Why? Because Nigerian government, they block this reportage from going out. 2020 to 2021, you now see another number, 3,530. Hey, you did not see protests going out in the media. You did not see protests going everywhere in the world for anybody to know and hear. It was only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that started carrying the news. Only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu carried the news of the genocide. And because of that, they decided to go after his life. They decided to kidnap him and lock him up because he opened the eyes of every Nigerian. He was preaching it. He was calling on everybody. He was telling them that this is what is happening. This is what is happening. This is what is going to happen. Your mothers will be raped. Your children will be killed. They will cut off the heads of your babies, women, and children. They will marry your mothers out. They will rape them and take them all out. They will ransack your communities and they will take everything that you have. They will pursue you out of your lands. You will go back into IDP camps, and the terrorists that came will now acclaim your own land. They will take over your belongings. You will become slaves in your homes. That is why they decided to go after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That is why they decided to go after Biafran people, because we started amplifying the message. Now, in 2020 to 2021, 3,500 came out. No protests in Nigeria. No news anywhere. Nothing is going in or coming out. From 2021 to 2022, you see 4,650 Christians massacred. Many of you hear that your brothers and sisters are in the north, and then you don't hear from them again after some time. You will just count it that, oh, he has fallen among those that Boko Haram terrorists have killed. Many of us have been forcefully disappeared from Biafra land, and they take us to Guantanamo Bay in this area of the far north, where they use our sisters, our brothers as sex slaves by the Boko Haram terrorists. And there is a mandate in their pamphlet that when they carry out this kidnapping, when they rape you and finish, they must kill you. They will rape man, rape woman, rape everything, and then at the end of the day, they will kill you. If they can kill a baby, a toddler, if they can kill a toddler, how much more a teenager? How much more a child that is able to walk and speak? Why is it that these figures are coming out now? Where were these figures in the social media so that everybody will see? Where were these figures? Do you know why Nigerian government refused to have a database system? So that they won't be ready to account for numbers of babies, women, and children slaughtered by the terrorists. Because the target is to go into the Christian communities, emasculate them, and annihilate them, and then take over their communities. So Nigerian government would not give you any statistics of the population census and upfront and what has been minus and those that are still alive and those that will even come to. No! If you ask them, they will tell you Nigeria has no database system. Why do we have IDP camps in our indigenous lands? All of you in Nigeria that grew up and found yourself in that contraption, how come there are IDP camps, indigenous displaced camps? How come there are, how come it is in indigenous or internally displaced camps. You now become displaced in your own land. Who displaced you? Who displaced you in your own land? Terrorists came from the Sahel and displaced you in your own land. And you say you have a government. And that government allows you to be displaced by terrorists that they themselves brought to come and annihilate you, and they take over the land. For what purpose? There is an agenda. There is a reason for that being done. If 1,200 only were massacred in Israel, and then Israeli government decided to turn Gaza to debris, and this is just in one time that we see it. It is not that it happened every year. How much more Nigeria that you now see 1,200 in year 2019 to 20, 3,371 in year 2018 to 2019, 3,530 in year 2020 to 2021, 4,000. Now, I want all of you to look at how the number is accenting. Look at how the peak is going up in the number. Look at how the thing is going up. From here, 3,731. Here, it come down. 1,350. Here, it goes up again. 3,530. They touch light and see how far. They increase. 4,650. They go up again. 5,000 something. They go up again. 4,000 something. 3,000 something. Then, in the third quarter of 2025, you are seeing over 7,000. Over 7,000. I am asking of where there was Muslim genocide carried out by Christians. That is what I am asking for. I am looking for it. Because we need to fund Biafra Defense Forces and BRGIA for us to get Biafra. And I want everyone to understand that for Nigeria to have become the worst place for any Christian to live globally, Nigeria is the worst place for a Christian to exist from this entire world. I heard that the entire world consists of whether 145 or 155 countries. So when you now remove Nigeria and keep as a whole, then you count the remaining 145 or 154 countries. Nigeria alone carries 99% of the massacres of this world. So when you now carry the remaining 154 numbers of countries and divide 1% of massacre by those 154 countries, you see that there is nothing like massacre in those countries. So everything that is supposed to have happened in the entire world of over 154 countries, it is now happening in only Nigeria. It's like they send them to come to Nigeria and wipe out the Christians in Nigeria first and foremost, before they will now turn there to their safe haven to project every weapon out to every other countries, because they know that is the Gulf of Guinea. They know they are in the Atlantic Ocean. They know that from there they are able to launch the attack against the West. They are able to launch the attack against America. They are able to launch it to Europe. They are able to launch it to Asia, everywhere and every part of the world. International vessels used to come into Calabar Seaport. When they come into Calabar Seaport from that high sea, that is where the international vessel comes in, come and berth at the seaport of Calabar. So meaning that you have access to containers or sea channels that are coming from Asia, Austria, Australia, Europe, America, UK, every part of the world, you have the international channel coming in from there. So these terrorists understands why they want to turn and capture Nigeria indigenous lands, and then to come and capture Biafra in proxy, so that they will stay there to launch the entire attack on all over part of the world. Biafran people, tomorrow is our fundraising. You have to come and fund your freedom. The only government of Biafran people which is working and which is giving Nigeria woto woto, which they recognize and see, is BRGIE. And we are calling on every Biafran to understand. Nigeria knows those that are throwing them bullets in Washington, D.C., and also from homeland. That is why Nigerian government, they launched this campaign. Let me go to read this campaign for everybody to see. They launched this campaign of over $2.7 million to go after Biafra, to see if they can counter and destroy the efforts of BRGIE, because they know BRGIE is the voice that is speaking for the Biafran people. Okenkere is the one that is leading the lobbies to go and talk senses into the brains and ears of the American government to look into Nigeria. That is why they said if Biafra lobbies succeed in obtaining congressional backing for sanctions or restrictive designations of Nigeria, they decided to go after BRGIA. By doing what? By embarking on what? Over $2.7 lobbying, hiring different propaganda groups so that they can be able to shut down Biafra and to destroy Biafra. That is why some of you are also working in line to help Nigerian government indirectly. When you are attacking BRGIA progress in Washington, D.C. and everything we are doing, when you are attacking APM, you're attacking the lobbies, you're attacking the attorney, you are also working for Nigerian government by proxy without knowing. So this was the congressional briefing. Before now, BRGIA has submitted a testimony to the US government. And let's go down. Now, Biafra Republic government in exile, ably led by acting Prime Minister Nkere, wishes to inform Biafrans that our mission for Biafra in the international level is gaining the desired momentum. Are you getting the message? Our proposed deal to the US government, which many took for a joke, is causing serious problems to Nigeria. Our demands for sanctions on Nigeria for kidnapping our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, call for sanctions on Finland for transnational aggression on our PM Simon Ekpa, and further pronouncement of imprisonment. Our congressional briefing in September 2025, plus all evidences submitted to the United States of American government against the atrocities of Nigerian government on every indigenous people in Nigeria. All these are bearing fruit daily and gradually. And all of you can see the evidences. Nigerian government are not sleeping now, waking up to understand that BRGI template and agenda for Biafra independence. Though some of our leaders are imprisoned, but cannot be curtailed no matter all manners of sabotages nor hired lobbyists in the US by the Nigerian government. So Biafrans should know now that we mean business. Quoting from the recent publications of uhuline.com, that President Tinubu's government is quietly mounting its own counter lobby in the United States, signaling a high-staked battle for narrative control in the global stage against Biafra Republic government in exile. We have big battle. That is why I said after we submitted the testimony to the US Congress, and then we had the congressional briefing, we went to declare ourselves open enemies to the Nigerian terrorist government, to also their allies, and also to let them know that we are fully ready and we are in for business now for this very freedom. So we do not expect to see that the fire that will be coming back to us will be subtle. No, the fire need to increase. There is going to be heated fire. That is why. Okay? So, quoting from here, whoonline.com has learned that over the past years, the Biafra Republic government in exile contracted US lobbying firm Moran Global Strategies, helmed by former US Congress Jim Moran, to advance its separatist agenda. Multiple US congressional sources confirmed to whoonline.com that BRGI and MSGS have fed US Republicans, including Senator Ted Cruz, data and testimonies depicting alleged massacre of Christian communities in Nigeria. Cruz Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act bears the fingerprint of this narrative. The bill accuses Nigeria of mass murder, seeks to sanction security officials, and recommends reclassifying Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Public materials, including a Biafra referendum dossier claiming over 50 million participants, have been submitted to the US government, filing under the FARA. FARA here is the website of the US government, where you can go and see the evidence of this document that BRGI has submitted against Nigeria and for Biafra to shape the perception. This narrative push carries obvious danger. Once accepted in US policy-making circles, such framing can attract sanctions, humanitarian interventions, or diplomatic pressure. Now, that is why you see that Nigerian government are angry now, because when this publication was written, this publication was on the 31st of October. 31st of October. And they did not take it serious. They thought that we are joking. They thought that, like some gullible ones that also claim to be Biafrans and fighting the same Biafra with us, will say that our APM carry bags and snap photos with Senator Ted Cruz. That what our APM is doing is only to snap photo with Senator Ted Cruz. That is what foolish and stupid Biafrans can be saying. You are having meeting with high-class policymakers in America, as Senator Ted Cruz, and you snap photo and post on the social media. They say you are snapping only photo, that you don't have anything to do. But those that know what we have been doing, they have gone to dig in to bring out the report, to come and explode it on the media. And they were warning Nigerian government that they should not take this thing that Okenkere is doing lightly, that Biafra Republic government in Israel are serious and they mean business. But they did not take it serious until the fire blew out. And then Faunyash opened. Can you see that? So, Let me now open even the whoonline.com so that we read the news from there for those that want to see it from there. I hope they have not removed the news. May they not remove the news, so because anywhere they see that Biafra is trending, if their paymasters no pay them well, they go remove the news after they publish. All right, this is the news here. This is the news here, and let me play. Let me play something as I address another meeting that I am here. So let me play something to keep the house on.
Abel Damina is my name. Look, 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 look. I couldn't wait to get back home and be a part of the ongoing conversation. There's been this conversation going on whether there's a genocide in Nigeria or there's no genocide in Nigeria. And I listen to certain individuals who say there's no such thing in Nigeria. Well, whether you call it genocide or you don't call it genocide, let me speak as a victim. I am not just a student of research, but I'm speaking as a victim of these gruesome circumstances around the Nigerian people, where innocent lives have been taken away by some people who think they have more right than others in this nation. And some people have reduced it to herders and farmers clash. No, sir, this has been ongoing. I grew up in northern Nigeria. My father was a pastor with the Assemblies of God Church. One morning we just woke up in Assemblies of God Church, Samaru Zaria, somewhere adjacent the north gate of Samaru Zaria. My father was a pastor. All of a sudden we woke up in the morning, no provocation, nothing. And the next thing we were hearing was people were just running all over our house and the church with machetes and all of that. The next thing was they started pouring petrol all over the building, both the church and the house, because our house was attached to the church. And the next thing was flames. Everything was burned right down to ashes. We narrowly escaped, found a place where we could shelter ourselves in the military barracks. Eventually, they brought us back to the lecturers' quarters of ABU Zaria, and we had to camp with a family for weeks and months before we could rebuild and start life all over again. That is long, long, long. I'm talking about 1986, 87. What about the Metasine situation? Metasine was a sect of the Islamic religion who went around burning and destroying and killing Christians back in the 80s. This is far before there was anything like farmers and herders clash. Then fast forward. What about in the year 2000, where over 2,000 people were killed in Kaduna? Year 2000. What about the over 300 people that were victims of the Miss World in November 2002? All of them, they were not a part of the Miss World. They were just on their own. Something happened somewhere else, and they became victims of it. Lives were killed, houses were destroyed, and whenever they are carrying out this charade, they will be shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and they will carry their matches and carry whatever they have, and they will move in their numbers. And everybody on their way that is not chanting what they are chanting becomes a victim. I can go on and on. A few years ago, I was preaching in Kaduna for a great man of God. And I only succeeded in preaching Sunday morning service. After the service, the next morning, as we were preparing for the next service on Monday, the next thing I was hearing was, the whole city is on fire. Kaduna is on fire. Please stay in the hotel room. Don't come out. They are killing, they are burning churches. They are killing everybody. That is how we were stuck in a hotel. Even in the hotel, we were not sure of ourselves, because they were going from hotel to hotel, room to room, killing people that were not chanting Allahu Akbar. And somehow God saved our souls. After about 4 days, we were able to leave Kaduna. But unfortunately, a friend of mine who was a pastor, Reverend Northcote Andrew of blessed memory, was caught in the midst of this as he was escaping for his life. They caught him because he was wearing a collar of a bishop. They hacked him to death, dug the ground, buried him and put a cross there. It is that little wooden cross that made people know that there was a corpse in that place. And this, my friend, was buried. These are real life situations. So for somebody to just sit down in the comfort of his home, maybe somewhere in the south, and be saying there's no such thing in northern Nigeria, my brother, you've not been a part of it. We've been right in the heart of the fire. I remembered one night, these Muslim boys were all over the place in my school. and they were shouting Allahu Akbar. They were looking for me. I had to escape. That night, my saving grace was that I found a female hostel and I slept under the bed. By the next day, I left town. For what? I did nothing. No provocation. Just because I am preaching the gospel. And of course, some of them believe that once you are not of the Islamic faith, you are an infidel. And they believe that if you kill an infidel, you will sleep with 7 virgins. All of this kind of indoctrination that leads to violence at the slightest provocation. Whether it has to do with the people or not, you just get on the streets. What about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade? I'm talking about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade in Kano, where people were hacked, macheted, and killed just because a crusade where the gospel of Christ was going to be preached. And that is why I thank God for people like President Donald Trump, who lent his voice to what is going on here. At least for whatever is what, there's an ongoing conversation all over the world. The matter is no more put under the carpet. And we don't want just conversations. We want some action. We want some action. And in the midst of all this, it snowballed into the herders and farmers clash. It snowballed into banditry, and everything becomes very complicated. Very complicated. And people are dying by the day. There are people in northern Nigeria, places like Borno State, places like Plateau State, places like Benue State, places like southern Kaduna, where whole villages have been taken over by some of these bandits, by some of these Islamic extremists, by some of these Boko Haram people. They've taken over whole villages, driven the villagers away. And somebody said there is no such thing in Nigeria. Why do we have IDP camps? Why do we have IDP camps? When we never had an earthquake, we never had an earth tremor, why do we have IDP camps when there is no natural disaster? Other than the fact that people are being made victims of what they have no knowledge of. In a secular state like Nigeria, where all religions are permitted to be practiced, this ought not to be allowed. This ought not to be allowed at all. Our government have a duty. Now, when you live in a country like that, where you don't know what becomes of you the next day, you go out, you don't know if you're going to come back. Where you go to church, you're not sure if you're going to come back. When you live in such a country, it's almost as if there's no government. And because the first responsibility of government is security of lives and properties. That's the first responsibility of government, whether at the federal level, at the state level, or at the local government level. Because the population don't have access to arms. But unfortunately, some of these bandits, some of these terrorists, some of these extremists, they are carrying AK-47s, and you wonder where did they get them from? In fact, it's unfortunate that at a point in Nigeria, there was even a local government in Borno State where Boko Haram drove all our Nigerian security forces and put their flag there. It's very unfortunate. And the government of Nigeria needs to do something quickly. Otherwise, where this is taking us to, we do not know. This has to come to an end. The ADP camps need to be emptied. Let people go back to their homes. Let people go back to their villages. Let people go back to their farmlands. Let people go back to their habitations so that they can live normal lives. So they can live the life they are supposed to live on earth. This is very important. And this conversation is so critical at this time. And it's critical that I add my voice to it as a victim of this situation in a country like Nigeria. And I'm believing God that the day has come when this menace will surely come to an end. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amen. Abel Damina is my name. Look. I couldn't wait to get back home and be a part of the ongoing conversation. There's been this conversation going on whether there's a genocide in Nigeria or there's no genocide in Nigeria. And I listen to certain individuals who say there's no such thing in Nigeria. Well, whether you call it genocide or you don't call it genocide, let me speak as a victim. I am not just a student of research, but I'm speaking as a victim of these gruesome circumstances around the Nigerian people, where innocent lives have been taken away by some people who think they have more right than others in this nation. And some people have reduced it to herders and farmers clash. No, sir. This has been ongoing. I grew up in northern Nigeria. My father was a pastor with the Assemblies of God Church. One morning we just woke up in Assemblies of God Church, Samaru Zaria. This somewhere adjacent the north gate of Samaru Zaria. My father was a pastor. All of a sudden, we woke up in the morning, no provocation, nothing. And the next thing we were hearing was people were just running all over our house and the church with machetes and all of that. The next thing was they started pouring petrol all over the building, both the church and the house, because our house was attached to the church. And the next thing was flames. Everything was burned right down to ashes. We narrowly escaped, found a place where we could shelter ourselves in the military barracks. Eventually, they brought us back to the lecturers' quarters of ABU Zaria, and we had to camp with a family for weeks and months before we could rebuild and start life all over again. That is long. I'm talking about 1986, 87. What about the Metasine situation? Metasine was a sect of the Islamic religion who went around burning and destroying and killing Christians back in the 80s. This is far before there was anything like farmers and herders clash. Then fast forward. What about in the year 2000, where over 2,000 people were killed in Kaduna? Year 2000. What about the over 300 people that were victims of the Miss World in November 2002? All of them, they were not a part of the Miss World. They were just on their own. Something happened somewhere else, and they became victims of it. Lives were killed, houses were destroyed, and whenever they are carrying out this charade, they will be shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and they will carry their matches and carry whatever they have, and they will move in their numbers. And everybody on their way that is not chanting what they are chanting becomes a victim. I can go on and on. A few years ago, I was preaching in Kaduna for a great man of God. And I only succeeded in preaching Sunday morning service. After the service, the next morning, as we were preparing for the next service on Monday, the next thing I was hearing was the whole city is on fire. Kaduna is on fire. Please stay in the hotel room. Don't come out. They are killing, they are burning churches. They are killing everybody. That is how we were stuck in a hotel. Even in the hotel, we were not sure of ourselves because they were going from hotel to hotel, room to room, killing people that were not chanting Allahu Akbar. And somehow, God saved our souls. After about 4 days, we were able to leave Kaduna. But unfortunately, a friend of mine who was a pastor, Reverend Northcote Andrew of blessed memory, was caught in the midst of this as he was escaping for his life. They caught him because he was wearing a collar of a bishop. They hacked him to death, dug the ground, buried him and put a cross there. It is that little wooden cross that made people know that there was a corpse in that place. And this, my friend, was buried. These are real life situations. So for somebody to just sit down in the comfort of his home, maybe somewhere in the south, and be saying there's no such thing in northern Nigeria, my brother, you've not been a part of it. We've been right in the heart of the fire. I remembered one night, these Muslim boys were all over the place in my school, and they were shouting Allahu Akbar. They were looking for me. I had to escape. That night, my saving grace was that I found a female hostel and I slept under the bed. By the next day, I left town. For what? I did nothing. No provocation. Just because I am preaching the gospel. And of course, some of them believe that once you are not of the Islamic faith, you are an infidel. And they believe that if you kill an infidel, you will sleep with 7 virgins. All of this kind of indoctrination that leads to violence at the slightest provocation. Whether it has to do with the people or not, you just get on the streets. What about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade? I'm talking about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade in Kano, where people were hacked, macheted, and killed just because a crusade where the gospel of Christ was going to be preached. And that is why I thank God for people like President Donald Trump, who lent his voice to what is going on here. At least, for whatever is what, there's an ongoing conversation all over the world. The matter is no more put under the carpet. And we don't want just conversations. We want some action. And in the midst of all this, it snowballed into the herders and farmers clash. It snowballed into banditry, and everything becomes very complicated. And people are dying by the day. There are people in northern Nigeria, places like Borno State, places like Plateau State, places like Benue State, places like southern Kaduna, where whole villages have been taken over by some of these bandits, by some of these Islamic extremists, by some of these Boko Haram people. They've taken over whole villages, driven the villagers away. And somebody said there is no such thing in Nigeria. Why do we have IDP camps? Why do we have IDP camps? When we never had an earthquake, we never had an earth tremor, why do we have IDP camps when there is no natural disaster? Other than the fact that people are being made victims of what they have no knowledge of. In a secular state like Nigeria, where all religions are permitted to be practiced. This ought not to be allowed. This ought not to be allowed at all. Our government have a duty. Now, when you live in a country like that, where you don't know what becomes of you the next day, you go out, you don't know if you're going to come back. When you go to church, you're not sure if you're going to come back. When you live in such a country, it's almost as if there's no government. And because the first responsibility of government is security of lives and properties. That's the first responsibility of government, whether at the federal level, at the state level, or at the local government level. Because the population don't have access to arms. But unfortunately, some of these bandits, some of these terrorists, some of these extremists, they are carrying AK-47s, and you wonder, where did they get them from? In fact, it's unfortunate that at a point in Nigeria, there was even a local government in Borno State where Boko Haram drove all our Nigerian security forces and put their flag there. It's very unfortunate. And the government of Nigeria need to do something quickly. Otherwise, where this is taking us to, we do not know. This has to come to an end. The ADP camps need to be emptied. Let people go back to their homes. Let people go back to their villages. Let people go back to their farmlands. Let people go back to their habitations so that they can live normal lives. So they can live the life they are supposed to live on earth. You know, this is very important. And this conversation is so critical at this time. And it's critical that I add my voice to it as a victim of this situation in a country like Nigeria. And I'm believing God that the day has come when this menace will surely come to an end. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amen. Abel Damina is my name. Look. I couldn't wait to get back home and be a part of the ongoing conversation. There's been this conversation going on whether there's a genocide in Nigeria or there's no genocide in Nigeria. And I listen to certain individuals who say there's no such thing in Nigeria. Well, whether you call it genocide or you don't call it genocide, let me speak as a victim. I am not just a student of research, but I'm speaking as a victim of these gruesome circumstances around the Nigerian people, where innocent lives have been taken away by some people who think they have more right than others in this nation. And some people have reduced it to herders and farmers clash. No, sir, this has been ongoing. I grew up in northern Nigeria. My father was a pastor with the Assemblies of God Church. One morning we just woke up in Assemblies of God Church, Samaru Zaria, somewhere adjacent the north gate of Samaru Zaria. My father was a pastor. All of a sudden we woke up in the morning, no provocation, nothing. And the next thing we were hearing was people were just running all over our house and the church with machetes and all of that. The next thing was they started pouring petrol all over the building, both the church and the house, because our house was attached to the church. And the next thing was flames. Everything was burned right down to ashes. We narrowly escaped, found a place where we could shelter ourselves in the military barracks. Eventually, they brought us back to the lecturers' quarters of ABU Zaria, and we had to camp with a family for weeks and months before we could rebuild and start life all over again. That is long. I'm talking about 1986, 87. What about the Metasine situation? Metasine was a sect of the Islamic religion who went around burning and destroying and killing Christians back in the 80s. This is far before there was anything like farmers and herders clash. Then fast forward. What about in the year 2000, where over 2,000 people were killed in Kaduna? Year 2000. What about the over 300 people that were victims of the Miss World in November 2002? All of them, they were not a part of the Miss World. They were just on their own. Something happened somewhere else, and they became victims of it. Lives were killed, houses were destroyed, and whenever they are carrying out this charade, they will be shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and they will carry their matches and carry whatever they have, and they will move in their numbers. And everybody on their way that is not chanting what they are chanting becomes a victim. I can go on and on. A few years ago, I was preaching in Kaduna for a great man of God. And I only succeeded in preaching Sunday morning service. After the service, the next morning, as we were preparing for the next service on Monday, the next thing I was hearing was, the whole city is on fire. Kaduna is on fire. Please stay in the hotel room. Don't come out. They are killing, they are burning churches. They are killing everybody. That is how we were stuck in a hotel. Even in the hotel, we were not sure of ourselves, because they were going from hotel to hotel, room to room, killing people that were not chanting Allahu Akbar. And somehow, God saved our souls. After about 4 days, we were able to leave Kaduna. But unfortunately, a friend of mine who was a pastor, Reverend Northcote Andrew of blessed memory, was caught in the midst of this as he was escaping for his life. They caught him because he was wearing a collar of a bishop. They hacked him to death, dug the ground, buried him, and put a cross there. It is that little wooden cross that made people know that there was a corpse in that place. And this, my friend, was buried. These are real life situations. So for somebody to just sit down in the comfort of his home, maybe somewhere in the south, and be saying there's no such thing in northern Nigeria, my brother, you've not been a part of it. We've been right in the heart of the fire. I remembered one night, these Muslim boys were all over the place in my school, and they were shouting Allahu Akbar. They were looking for me. I had to escape. That night, my saving grace was that I found a female hostel and I slept under the bed. By the next day, I left town. For what? I did nothing. No provocation. Just because I am preaching the gospel. And of course, some of them believe that once you are not of the Islamic faith, you are an infidel. And they believe that if you kill an infidel, you will sleep with 7 virgins. All of this kind of indoctrination that leads to violence at the slightest provocation. Whether it has to do with the people or not, you just get on the streets. What about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade? I'm talking about the Reinhard Bonnke crusade in Kano, where people were hacked, macheted, and killed just because a crusade where the gospel of Christ was going to be preached. And that is why I thank God for people like President.
I want to say a very big thank you to Biafra Republic government in exile. You did not see our you did not see our Mazi or Pastor Abel Damina speaking up or coming out like this before on this Christian genocide until BRGI opened the door. And as BRGI opens the door now, everybody now have the courage to come out and speak. I love it. So let us read how Nigerian government are preparing and coming after BRGI, so that you know that you have a bigger fight to fight and you have to step up your game. This is Nigerian government launching 2.7 million covert anti-Biafra lobbying campaign. Let's come down here. They say, as Nigeria domestic politics intensify ahead of the 2027 elections, a quiet yet consequential talk of war is unfolding in the corridors of Washington, D.C. While Biafra independence activists openly wage a campaign to cast Nigeria's security challenges as a Christian genocide. Many of you did not want to take us serious. This media house is UK. Is UK. UKWhoWhoOnline.com. Now, new reporting and sources told whoowho.com that President Tinubu's government is quietly mounting its own counter-lobbying in the United States, signaling a high-stakes battle for narrative control on the global stage. So, if Biafra lobbyists succeed in obtaining congressional backing for sanctions or restrictive designations, they will weaponize the U.S. foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. Do you not get the point? We have done what? We have weaponized the U.S. foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria already. Because we have done what? We have succeeded in obtaining congressional backing for sanctions or restrictive designation of Nigeria. Are you getting the point? It is happening already. So we have succeeded in weaponizing the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. And so this says for Tinubu, that will translate into additional international pressure on its security forces, diplomatic isolation, and credibility damage on one diplomatic source. Are you people seeing it? That Nigerian government is in one chance. BRGIE has succeedingly weaponized the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. BRGIE has successfully weaponized the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. And you all need to do what? To wake up and support BRGIE. So, Biafran people are at this time supposed to know that they have done noble in Washington, D.C. Nigeria is in one chance. Some of you don't understand the intricacies of the designation of Nigeria as CPC. While BRGIA carrying Biafra flag are campaigning to destroy Nigeria. Do you know how much and how far you have destroyed Nigeria now? You don't know. This is what you need to understand. You have been able to weaponize the US policy apparatus against Nigeria. And this will affect Nigeria in international pressure on their security forces. Are you listening? Diplomatic isolation and credibility damage. Now, let me come back here. That this will translate into additional international pressure on the security forces of Nigeria. Now, let me explain this one to you. Did you now see that the Nigerian military forces, they are under international pressure now? Do you now understand it? The designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern is one method of putting Nigerian military formations on international pressure. And this will be wobbling Nigeria like this. They are shrinking. This is a systematic pattern of you getting Biafra. And you have to wake up to support BRGIA. You have to wake up to support Biafra Defense Forces. Because We have been able to do what? Weaponize the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. The designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern has granted us the avenue to see sanctions on Nigeria, restrictive designations. We have, by this very act, weaponized the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. And one thing that you have to start saying first is that there will be and there must be additional international pressure on the military formation or security forces of Nigeria. And that is happening already. It is in motion. You can see that they are in disarray. You can see that American government has just proposed a guns are blazing on Nigeria. Since you heard that, you see that the military formations of Nigeria are in disarray. You see that Nigerian government alone are in disarray because they cannot defend what is coming. This Biafra, what our forefathers did differently, we are going to also do it stylishly. We are also going to do it stylishly. Our fathers fought with guns and bullets, and they did not have opportunity to have a one-on-one sit-down conversation with the US lawmakers to be able to deliberate and to talk and to discuss anything. But you see today, yesterday you saw my acting prime minister wonderfully dressed, seated in an interview with Gunter, chairman of Austrian Committee on NATO, Kosovo, Ukraine, and EU. And then, if you look again, you see my same APM making his way to Washington, D.C. You see him everywhere. You see him everywhere. Having meeting in Washington, D.C. You see him everywhere. Everywhere there is conference, you see him there, sending the message and explaining something. Now, something is happening. I want all Biafrans to understand something. That your freedom is here. And you need to understand the implications of Nigeria being designated as a country of particular concern. First thing that you should understand is that you, by this act, after your congressional briefing, putting Nigeria the way it is, after the congressional testimony, putting Nigeria the way it is, and then after the US Congress have now looked into the genocidal pact that you placed before them on the table and reviewed and see that everything that you presented are factual. There is nothing fictional about it. They've come to the conclusion of dealing with Nigeria. And what is that to your advantage? Number one is that you have been able to weaponize US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. And then the next thing you will see that this will translate into additional international pressure on the military formations and security forces of Nigeria. Then the next thing you will see is that there will be diplomatic isolation to Nigeria. Because of them being a country on a red list, there will be diplomatic isolation on Nigeria. When there is diplomatic isolation on Nigeria on the international table, what do you think will happen to Nigeria? American government is helping you to weaken Nigeria small so that you can gain your power to gain your independence. This is credibility damage. Credibility damage. Credibility damage. It is time for all of you to put all your asunders aside. It is time for all of you to keep your hatred and personal issue aside as a fellow Biafran. But come into BRGI and support financially, because we have gotten Nigeria on their balls. Yes, we have grabbed their testicles and we are squeezing it. And they are crying now. They are crying now because number one is that we have gone to the point of weaponizing US foreign policy against them. Yes, all those apparatus of foreign policies are now against Nigeria because they are on the red list. Now, let me ask you, on a normal ground, will the security or military formation of Nigeria be threatened when they heard that American military are coming to crush the terrorists? Are they supposed to be threatened? No. It's because you are on the CPC list. That is why you will now become endangered species to international pronouncement. Everything that international community will be saying now will be a pressure kind of on you. And this pressure is coming on the security forces of the country, because when your military formation is alive, they are not afraid of anything. That means your country is alive. But when your military formations are volatile, they have become so vulnerable and they are dying. And as we speak, they are dead already. So the CPC designation of Nigeria is one that Biafra Republic government in Israel have successfully opened a door for more sanctions on Nigeria and more restrictive designations on Nigeria, and also weaponize the US foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. So this now is translating into international additional pressure on the Nigerian military formations. Then you're going to see diplomatic isolation as well. Then you're going to see credibility damage. Credibility damage. So it is opportunity for all Biafrans to now wake up. It is opportunity for all Biafrans to now wake up and put their hands together and support BDF and BRGI, because we have done Nigeria something very bad. This is the opportunity for all of you to come together and deal with Nigerian terrorist government. You see, the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu count as one crime against Nigerian government, which we stipulated on the congressional testimony. So when you see American government and other, see now, you see when they say where America stand, or when America speaks, others follows. Let me explain to you. Since when we went to Europe to have the Helsinki Convention, we went to Europe to have the Latte Convention of the Declaration of Biafra. Did you hear it speak volume? Did not speak volume more. And America did not even comment on it. Now we came back to America July, August, September, October. We did just few things. And now fire sparked in America. Now, since ever that we did not come to America physically to have a congressional briefing, did you hear American foreign policy makers speak about Biafra? Did you hear them speak about the Christian genocide? Did you hear them take the issue of Nigeria very serious? No. But immediately we held the garment of American Congress. We entered there, we delivered the message boldly. We sat down there, we testified. We gave them evidence against Nigeria. It emboldened American government with the courage that we had to now start looking into Nigerian issues. And when American government has started speaking, every other part of the world now starts speaking. The question is, why didn't Europeans speak before when Donald Trump or when American lawmakers did not speak about Biafra and the Christian genocide? Why didn't China speak about the Christian genocide in Nigeria when Donald Trump government or when American lawmakers did not speak? Why didn't Russia speak about the genocide in Nigeria when American lawmakers did not speak after we had engaged them? Are you telling me that the UK government, that the Chinese government, that the European government, the Asia, the Australia, the Russia, the Antarctica, every continent of this world, that they are not aware of the atrocities of Nigeria for years? Why didn't they speak when American government did not speak? So they waited until when we rekindled the fire by grabbing the garment of the American Congress, going inside the White House, testifying and giving all evidence. American government now sat back. They review our congressional briefing. They review our congressional testimony. They add and minus. They juxtapose and saw that all what we said were factual. They went into investigation. They started speaking. Immediately they started speaking. That is when Europeans now started amplifying on what American lawmakers have said. That is when you now see lawmakers in UK also start speaking to amplify their voice on what American lawmakers have started pronouncing. That is when you now see people from Russia, you now see people from China, you now see people from Europe. They now start speaking, amplifying the voice of what American lawmakers have already spoken. If we did not held the garment of the US Congress and drag them till they start speaking, every other part of the world leaders would not speak because they will see it and keep quiet because they want to see Nigeria continue. Not minding the massacre of babies, women, and children. But only America have the courage to call a spade a spade. Every other countries, every other continent, they ignore. They say it is not their business. They only focus on the business deals that they have with Nigeria. They don't bloody care about how many babies, women, and children are massacred. Do you now understand when we say, when America speaks, others follows? Every world leader is keeping quiet and ignoring your cry on a daily basis. They wait until when they see America say something before they will come and also mimic. They just come to mimic. Some of them are not saying it with all their heart. They come to mimic what America has said so that you will not say, oh, they did not say something. Why is it that it's only America that has the plight of the Christians at heart, but every other country ignored the genocide of Christians in Nigeria? and in Biafra land. For the past years, all the countries of the world have continued to enjoy diplomatic engagement and businesses with Nigerian government. And they look away from the genocide that is happening in Nigeria until BRGI grab the hems of the garments of the American lawmakers and tell them, I will never leave you unless you look into my case. I will never leave you unless you look into my case. And now American lawmakers have spoken, and then the world leaders can now start putting their voices. Ask somebody a very simple question. Why has Russia, China, Europe, UK, Asia not spoken about the Christian genocide since 2002? Why have they not made any step to sanction Nigeria for the Christian genocide since 2002? Why is it that for the past 10 or 20 years, is only America that sees the importance of sanctioning Nigeria for supervising the genocide on Christians? Donald Trump did it when he was the president in 2018. And he has come back again. American government is still doing it again. Why is it that it's only America that have the interests of Biafrans at heart? But the Europeans, the European Commission, they have done so well by aligning with Nigeria because of oil and gas to imprison our prime minister. So if American government were also putting Nigerian oil and gas on the table, they would have imprisoned our acting prime minister now. Yes. American government would have imprisoned our US North and South American rep now. American government would have imprisoned our deputy North and South American rep now. American government would have imprisoned our minister Love now. American government would have imprisoned our minister Akuta now. American government would have imprisoned our minister Mazi Chima now. American government would have imprisoned our COS Mazi Amobi now. American government would have imprisoned all our leaders, reps and admins that we have in America now, if they put the oil and gas interests of Nigeria on the table. They would have shut down our Biafra Republic government in exile headquarters now, and then imprison all of us in America. They would have locked all our officials in the US now up, just like Europe have done for Nigeria, because of their interest of oil and gas. Do you think that if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in America or he was using American passport, that the UK government would have succeeded in working out the handing over of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to Nigerian government to kidnap in Kenya? Since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya, what have you heard from the UK government as their own citizen and national using their passport who was kidnapped? They wouldn't say anything because they know Nigeria is where their interest lies. So if Nigeria come to the UK and kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they will even work it out for them. Talk less of being in Kenya. I salute all Biafrans, and I'm calling on all of you to come out tomorrow and support BDF, support BRGI, because we have a big battle to carry out. We have done so much and we are going forward. So, like I said, we have been able to weaponize the US foreign policy against Nigeria. And this will also translate into what? International pressure on the Nigerian military terrorist formations. And it is happening, and you can see it now. And Nigeria is going to face diplomatic isolation. Nigeria is going to face credibility damage. This is what awaits Nigeria with this designation of Nigeria as CPC. So it is opportunity for every Biafran to key in and fast forward the trend, fast forward this movie of how you want to watch it to come to the final stage. Come in and support Biafra now more than before, because the table is open for us to dine. Now, whoonline.com has learned that over the past year, the Biafra Republic government in exile, led by Simon Ekpa, contracted U.S. lobbying firm Moran Global Strategies, helmed by U.S. Congressman Jim Moran, to advance its separatist agenda. Then, multiple U.S. congressional sources confirmed to whoonline.com that BRGIE and Moran Global Strategies have fed U.S. Republicans, including Senator Ted Cruz, data and testimonies depicting alleged massacres of Christian communities in Nigeria. So, Cruz Religious Freedom Accountability Act bears the fingerprint of BRGIE narrative. Are you reading the news very well, and are you understanding it? Okay. The bill accuses Nigeria of mass murder, seeks to sanction security officials, and recommends reclassifying Nigeria as country of particular concern. Public materials, including Biafra referendum dossier, claiming over 50 million participants, have been submitted to the U.S. regulatory filings under FARA to shape the perception. But this narrative push carries obvious danger. Once accepted in U.S. policy-making circles, such framing can attract sanctions, humanitarian interventions, or diplomatic pressure against Nigeria. Do you now understand the significance of designating Nigeria as CPC and what BRGI is doing to Nigeria? Okay. Now, facing this mounting assault on Nigeria's image, the presidency of Nigeria has not stayed idle. In January 2025, a media expose claimed President Tinubu's team engaged multiple U.S. lobbies and PR firms, reporting $2.7 million outlay to rehabilitate his image in Washington, D.C., after scandals over certificate irregularities and drug allegations. This is the kind of president that you people have in Nigeria. A president that is lobbying to erase his name from the system because of his narcotic business and certificate scandal. Now, when you look at the news that has been circulating for days now, you can see that American government are going after some of the narcotic vessels. And let me bring something to the screen. I hope I see this thing very fast because we don't have much time to waste. So, if your president is a drug lord and is finding a way to clean his name from the US system so that the US government will not get him. And then now, Nigerian government is in a quagmire, and they are going to face international sanctions, and they are already facing international sanctions. What will be the fate of Nigerians when your presidency cannot visit America because of his drug case file? Who will now go and sit down like Ramaphosa went to America, White House, to sit down with Donald Trump and deliberate and iron out diplomatic issues that has to do with his country, South Africa? He spoke as a man. He spoke one-on-one physically with Donald Trump. Every question that Donald Trump asked him, he was able to answer and clear every doubt and every misconception. How can your drug lord president, who has a case file in the US, now be able to enter America in this very dispensation to sit down and discuss Nigeria on the table? Whether Nigeria has done it wrong or done it bad or done it good or made mistakes. How can he enter America to sit down and table your case and to discuss? Do you know why he cannot enter America? There's something here on the screen. This happened, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. The United Kingdom suspends some intelligence sharing with the US over boat strike concerns in major break. Now, this boat strike concern, why did US strike this boat? US struck this boat because this boat was carrying narcotics. This boat was carrying drugs, according to the news. So, the US government strikes every boat or ship that they see that is carrying drugs to enter into America or to even to pass by, which they know that is going to destroy the life of humanity. So if only a boat that is carrying the drugs, American government strikes the boat, what do you think will happen to your president of Nigeria when he now enters America? When he himself, he is the drug lord. When your president of Nigeria now happens to be the drug lord himself, what do you think will happen to him if he enters America? Don't tell me that American government will bomb him the way they bombed the boat. But the fact here is that the drug lord president cannot enter America to go and sit down one-on-one and discuss with the president of America or the lawmakers of America for anything for you as a Nigerian. Why? Because he has a case like this that is lingering. This is the case that is lingering that cannot allow him to be there. Do you see what is on the screen? In January 2025, a media exposed claim President Tinubu's team engaged multiple US lobbies and PR firms, reporting a $2.7 million outlay to rehabilitate his image in Washington after scandals over certificate irregularities and drug allegations. This is why, as Nigeria is in problem now, in this time of diplomatic isolation now, in this time that we have been able to weaponize US foreign policies against Nigeria with all the apparatus now, at this time that we've been able to see that sanctions go to Nigeria now, the Nigerian presidency cannot visit America to sit down one-on-one to discuss. Who did you see that visited America? It is some of his cabinet members, whether the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the ambassador from here, they now go. They sit down. Even Buala, Buala was one of the people that went, the same Buala that told Nigerians that if you give Tinubu 100 years, that Tinubu cannot make any change in Nigeria. It is the same Buara that is the one that Tinubu now sent to go to America to now go and start defending Tinubu. This is a Buala. Let me show this one on the screen. So imagine the kind of people that wants to go and defend Nigeria now. Look at them. This is in 2023. Buala said, if you give Tinubu 30 years, nothing will work. He cannot do anything, cannot change anything in Nigeria. This is the person now that Tinubu sends, since he sees that his drug document cannot allow him to enter America to go and save all of you. This is the person he now sent to now go and talk for Nigeria. Chai! Hello, Mero. And Tinubu saying that if he doesn't shut many of these his critics' mouth down, that they will come to destroy him. He had to pick all the Agberos, all the criminals, all those that knew many things about him, that were exposing him. He packed all of them and gave them position in his government. That is why you see somebody like this one that told the entire world that if you give Tinubu 30 years, nothing will work in Nigeria. He's now the personal assistant to Tinubu, speaking for Tinubu and going to America to go and speak. And we saw that our Mazi Elias, he gave him basbos. If you are on Twitter, you will see what Mazi Elias has done to this man. He's giving him basbos, where he made everybody to know that both the president of Nigeria and the vice, they are all criminals. let me see if I can bring Elias post, because it's quite interesting. We love our Mazi Elias. The way he's giving it to them, woto, is quite interesting. Here it is. You can see the post. our Mazi Elias told them that Nigeria is running a country with a drug baron president and vice president, tied to Boko Haram, running a government complicit in genocide. So Nigeria equals to theater of absurd. So these are the people. You see, the president is taking something in the nose. You now see the vice president having dinner with Boko Haram terrorists. So this is the kind of country that you people this is the kind of country that you people call your country, and some of you are very proud of it. Your vice president is enjoying life with Boko Haram terrorists, and then your president. Oh my God. Anyway, let me go back to what I was reading, because you guys are making me enjoy this evening broadcast so much. So, the contract was said to include Lenape Legal Davis Pauling, among others. And according to that report, one or some of these contracts were signed under the label of the government of Nigeria. The contract were signed under the label of the government of Nigeria. So possibly to Mark's personal involvement. So if true, this suggests that Tinubu's team judges that the Biafra cruise narrative threat is severe enough to deploy heavy U.S. influence machineries. But before Tinubu could sleep and wake up, the Biafra cruise narrative, as they call it, has already fostered. It has already yielded the fruit because they were sleeping. They undermined Biafra Republic government in exile. When they saw our APM going to Washington, D.C., then he will come back and then give them only photo to watch. He will deceive them with photos. They will be watching his photos online. And they will say, oh, only photo. You are snapping only photo. This photo doesn't make anything. Only photo is what you went to do. Did you think that he will come and play the audio and the video of the meeting discussion that they had, he'd come and deceive you people with only photo. Then you now went back to sleep. You say, that Biafra Republic government in Israel, okay, Nkere is not doing anything. He's only slapping photo. He's only slapping photo. He's snapping photo. He's carrying bag. He's snapping photo. But today, all of you now have seen that the photo that Nkere was giving you people to watch, there was something behind the photo. And now you are all crying. Nigeria is crying now because of the photo that they have been watching. You were watching only photo. You enjoyed the photo of Okengera. You say it's Photoshop, Photoshop, Photoshop. Today, what is happening to the Photoshop photo of Okengera and Senator Ted Cruz? Hey, from Photoshop of Okengere to Nigeria being sanctioned, just like that. Una sleep, wake up. Una see say Photoshop of Okengere, una say that Photoshop, it don't become sanctioned to Nigeria. This is how you people will sleep in Nigeria and wake up and see yourself in Biafra, because you will not still take us serious. Yes. God will harden the heart of Pharaoh to the point that you will continue to remain adamant. You will continue to remain stupid. You will continue to remain blatant in whatever we say. We will call you and say, come and join us. You say, no, we are not making any difference. We are not doing this. We are not doing that. And by the time you sleep and wake up, you will see that another sanction has been dropped on Nigeria. This first one alone is the beginning. Another sanction will soon drop on Nigeria. As it stands already, the military formations of Nigeria is on international pressure because we've been able to weaponize the U.S. foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. And there is going to be international diplomatic isolations, credibility damage on Nigeria. You people are taking BRGIA for a joke. But Nigerian government are confessing here. The UK government media houses that went to do investigation, they are confessing of what BRGIA have been doing behind the scene and what has come out to play in the physical, which many people did not take us serious. Because they were calling it Biafra Cruise, Biafra and Cruise narrative. That is how they were calling it. But now, the Biafra and Cruise narrative, the Biafra and Cruise narrative has become something else. And Nigeria is going into coma. Imagine that Nigerian government officials are traveling to America all of a sudden to come and have meeting in America. Since Tinubu, let me make it clear to some of you. Since Tinubu came into power, Tinubu dissolved the ambassadors that were available in where? US. He did not care to appoint new ambassadors because he took it to be useless. Not even international lobbying, because they were not taking Biafra Republic government in Israel to be serious. Those that they have paid to destroy and disturb us were guaranteeing them that Okengere cannot go to anywhere. Okengere cannot achieve nothing. Okengere cannot do anything. That the Nigerian government should go and relax. That Okengere is not, that he cannot give anything, cannot do anything, cannot touch them. So they went to sleep. But they sent them to come and attack our finance. They attack. We shrink them off. They now went to go and bring account information to be reading it on social media. Chioma and Ruby Nadi and Emma and Ajare, they were reading our bank account information in America to everybody on the media so that Nigerian government can know what to do. They thought they have destroyed us. We're just acting like zombie. We just kept quiet and we were acting like zombie. When everybody say, hey, Minister of Information, why are you not responding to the movement of account of BRGI that Emma and Chioma and Ruby Nadi and Vama are sharing on the social media? I said, media team, ignore them. We have something important that we are working on. And they were making noise everywhere. After they have blocked website for 3 months, As you were busy attacking and spreading our bank statement on the social media, we were busy cooking something. And Nigerian government and now we're calling it Biafra cruise narrative. Nigerian government says it is Biafra cruise narrative. Now, Biafra cruise narrative has given the fruits. Yes, and Nigeria is sanctioned. CPC. And if you don't know the intricacies or the importance or the meaning of what this CPC means to Nigerian government, one, it means that we have been able to put restrictive sanctions and measures against Nigerian government. We have also weaponized U.S. foreign policy apparatus against Nigeria. We have also activated international diplomatic isolation against Nigeria. We have also activated credibility damage against Nigeria. We have also activated international pressure on Nigerian military formations. How many things are that? Go to the library and find out the meaning of everything that I said. If you did not understand, ask your pastor to explain so that when you see the next thing that is going to happen, you will know that Biafra cruise narrative is playing in. Stop undermining the Biafra Republic government in exile. Stop undermining this very cabinet. They are few, but very strong. Yes, Okenkere did not need a professor. He did not need a doctor. He did not need an engineer inside his cabinet before he was able to have a congressional briefing. First in history congressional briefing and testimony that Biafrans were able to enter the US Capitol to go and submit Biafra matters and indigenous Nigerian matters. Okay? Okenkere did not need doctors and professors to do that. No. But he only needed his cabinet who stand by him and give him the support with our lobbies and attorney, and the rest follows. And many of you that contribute financially and trusted in him and trusted in what we are doing. Are you getting the point? So, come tomorrow and give all your support because the best is yet to come. You are just seeing the beginning of it. They said the Nigerian government has denied the Christian genocide accusations. Foreign Minister and Information Ministry have characterized them as false, politically motivated smears. Diplomatically, Nigeria has signaled readiness to counter these claims. But have they been able to counter it? They are running to America, coming everywhere, left, right, and center. Now they are sleeping in America. They are trying diplomatic channels and perhaps engaging its own Washington-based advocates, but it is not yielding fruit. Thus, Tinubu's response appears dual. He said, public pushback and private influence operations. Tinubu's pivot to Washington lobbying suggests he recognizes the external battleground of narrative control, okay, which is BRGI. The fight is no longer confined to Abuja. It now spans Capitol Hill, the State Department, and the US media. Do you understand the point now? Tinubu has now come to acknowledge that BRGIE are not only calling on Biafrans in the homeland to stand against Nigeria by implementing a civil disobedience and also brainstorming in their defense to defend Biafra land. Tinubu has also come to acknowledge and tell the world that the fight of Biafra is not just in Nigeria, targeting Abuja now, their capital. That Biafran people Biafra Republic government in exile have now expanded its powers down to the Capitol Hill of the US government and down to the State Department of the US government and down to the US media of America, because they follow us, they read every publications, they visit the US congressional website, they see all the testimonies that we submitted. Norman. And they also watch the congressional testimony. That is why you hear them say that the fight is no longer confined to Abuja, that it is now spans Capitol Hill. What did you see in Capitol Hill? Capitol Hill is where Biafra Republic government in exile went to have this congressional briefing here. This congressional briefing here was held in the Capitol Hill. In the Capitol Hill, the White House, the U.S. congressional briefing was held in Capitol Hill in the White House, in the headquarters of Washington, D.C., headquarters of America, where decisions are made. So you, hello, Mero. God bless this BRGI. God bless this Okenkere. Honestly, God bless this Okenkere. Yes. God bless Elias. God bless Dabiri. God bless the entire BRGI cabinet. Yes. God bless all of you for the wonderful work you've done. Your congressional briefing has been spotted and explained in a phrase by the UK government and Tinubu government. They acknowledge that you are not just now showing them Biafra independence in Nigeria, that you have taken a stand to go to where? The Capitol Hill. The Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill of America. That you had to go and do what? Stage a congressional briefing where you now give testimony against Nigeria and portray and display Biafra on the table in Capitol Hill. So that means they are getting the message. They read everything and they saw you. They saw all of you. They saw all of you in the congressional briefing. And they took record of it. And then every testimony and document that you have submitted to the US Department, they have been seeing it. They read through it. And every publications that the US media carries in favor of Biafra, they are reading it and following up and seeing it. Are you getting the point? Let me read this one for you now, so that you will see that they are even quoting the document that we submitted, which is available in the US Department. See, I'm here. They say a digging problem is opacity. And then they say US law requires lobbyists working for foreign principals to register under FARA. Are you getting the point? US law requires lobbyists working for foreign principals to register under FARA. That means BRGI have been able to have power to the point that they have a lobbyist that can register foreign principals under FARA. Every Biafran Republic government in exile document and everything that is done in the State Department, you will see it under FARA. Now, some of you don't understand what FARA means. I want to open one document. I will open one document in the US website so that you will see what the FARA is talking about. Let me go to our US website, our government website. Now, this is our government website. Now, I believe everyone can see the screen. Okay. Now, here, We say BRGIE in talks with US government over deal and makes offer public. When I click on this photo, so it will open the document file inside the FARA website. The FARA is the US government website. So that file that I click, that photo I click in our website, this is where it has taken me to. So it's now available in the US government website. That is, if you look at what I'm displaying here now, they say received by NSD FARA registration unit 07/21/2025. Then they say this material is distributed by Moran Global Strategies Incorporation on behalf of Biafra Republic Government in Exile. Additional information is available at the Department of Justice, Washington, D.C. This is a document of the deal that BRGI submitted to the US government. And this document is well documented in the American government website. So, Nigerian government are telling you that they have done investigation to see that before any foreign principal is able to register any document in the American government system, they must have gotten a well-renowned lobbyist who will now be able to work everything, align and file everything to be in line with the US government ethics, that those things will be available in the US government system. So you see where they quoted the FARA? You see the FARA now. Can you all see the FARA now, which I read from there? So these people have been sitting down to follow and read and investigate everything that BRGIA are doing. And they are checking everything as if they are not checking. And they are speaking now that the time of speaking is now coming. Now, let me go back. Let me now go back to where I was reading. You now see where the FARA came from. That is where I wanted you to see. That is the US government website. See it here now. They say US law requires lobbyists working for foreign principals to register under FARA. Do you now see how they are panicking about waking up to see that a deal and every document and every testimony and petition that BRGIA are submitting to the US government, that these documents are found online in US Department website, the Justice Department, and everywhere. Go and check online in US, you will find it. It is not hidden. It is open for everybody to go and read, so they can access it from Nigeria. They can read through it and see everything that we are doing and know that we are not joking. We are not doing underground. We are not hiding our faces, but we are actually working things out. So you see the cry of Nigerian government. Okay, they've understood that BRGI have gone very far. So they say, but if Nigeria's contracts are channeled via shell entities or labeled image management, true accountability becomes elusive. Yes. The possibility of undisclosed influence peddling looms. Within Nigeria, these Washington skirmishes reinforce a message that Tinubu is playing a global chess game, not just a national one. Opposition voices may interpret it as diversion from pressing governance issues. Yet, the presidency may argue that the safeguarding Nigeria's image and sovereignty against external narrative is itself a national duty. So, this is where we are now, which you all have to understand and see what is actually happening. Because there is fire on the mountain and Faunyash is burning, and they don't want to listen and hear that their nyash is burning, and it is actually burning. This is where you need to see it, and this is where you need to look at it and understand. So looking at one Nigeria today and looking at the situation that BRGI have knocked them put, it is evident that Biafra is here and we are going very fast. I think we are even going faster than we used to go when our PM was here. Because within July, August, September, October, I know what we have done within these 4 months. And everything is playing out. The result is packing everywhere. And the last one now that just happened is the one that has blown Nigeria off. The stability of Nigeria now cannot be determined. Everywhere is burning. Everywhere is burning now. Why didn't Nigerian government be traveling to America before to go and plead America to come and stand with them to fight the terrorists? Instead, they were blocking the reportage of the Christian genocide, the Biafran genocide, away from the American government. There is power in lobbying, and we must continue. So we call on all Biafrans to wake up. God has given you the enablement, most especially those of you that are in America, UK, Europe, Asia, Australia. If you know you're not in Africa, where our life is deplorable, but you are in the Western world, remember that God placed you in the Western world for a reason like this, for a time like this, so that you can be a candle light to light up the freedom of the Biafran people. Come out from wherever you are. Come and join our fundraising tomorrow and support the Biafran cause. Yes, it is a cause that is legitimate. It is a cause that we all must fight for. It is a cause that we need to use to be able to liberate and free our people. If we stop what we are doing, the genocide that is happening in the far north, if we stop what we are doing, the genocide that is happening in the far north and in the middle belt, it will shift down to Biafra land because we are actually the people that they are targeting. The reason why you see that the genocide has now concentrated so much in the middle belt is because we have resisted them from entering Biafra land. We have sacrificed in the cause of this resistance and fighting them back. Many Biafrans have died. Many have sacrificed their lives for this to be. So that is why the sacrifice that we do is useful. So do not allow the sacrifice that many people do to become useless, because we are just starting this fight in a different phase. So come and join, please, and give all the push so that we can be able to achieve the Biafra that would have taken us 10 years. Let us do it and get it in 3 to 2 years. Yes, because with all the resources in our hands and with all your support financially and your commitment, we can get it done. Come out and support Biafra Defense Forces. Come out and support the Biafra Republic government in exile. Come out and support our men and women that are putting their lives on the line to see that the Biafra land is defended and protected against these terrorists. Know ye that you have legitimacy in fighting for your independence, because Nigeria is the worst place for a Christian to live and to exist. So you are a Christian. So if Nigeria has been mapped out for you to be the most dangerous place for you to live, that means your self-determination of having your own separate state is legitimate. But it is now incumbent on you to wake up and amplify it so that it will now become a reality. Don't wait on the fence for others to do it for you to later come and join. Come and join it and make it to happen so that you will be recorded as part and parcel of the people that made it happen. I salute all of you, and I say from me, from here, we see you all tomorrow, and do not miss the fundraising tomorrow. Please log in and give your quota. Ndewo from here. From me, it is good morning, good afternoon, good night to some of you, and good evening. Ndewo.
Anywhere in Biafra land we confront Fulani terrorists, we shall meet them head on. We know that they are part of the police and the army. Danjuma himself, General T.Y. Danjuma himself, testified before the British Parliament that the army of Nigeria and the police are colluding in the conquest of indigenous populations in Nigeria. And we are no exception to that very horrible and sinister conspiracy. The police we have in our land are terrorists in uniform. The army we have in Biafra land are basically terrorists. They are there to aid and to support Fulani Janjaweed advancement to the Atlantic Ocean. And we are there to stop them, and we are stopping them, and will continue to stop them. A few days ago, as I said, we embedded our men and women of the Northern Command of Eastern Security Network. When we said Northern Command, people were confused. Biafra land is a nation. We have Northern Biafra, we have Central, we have the South, which is the coastal region, we have the East, and we have the West. When I talk about the Northern Command, I'm talking about the northern part of Biafra land, which incidentally starts from Benue State. So we are right to be there. If you don't want us to be in Benue State, quietly go back to Abuja and appeal to them. Tell them to release Igbo people in Benue and carve them back into Ebonyi State, where they should belong, or Enugu State, as the case may be. Therefore, anybody, you know, one thing about Nigeria is that anywhere in Biafra land we confront Fulani terrorists, we shall meet them head on. We know that they are part of the police and the army. Danjuma himself, General T.Y. Danjuma himself, testified before.
We have 3 ex-former presidents of Nigeria. They all said Nigeria is a mere geographical expression, that is never a country, that the British government trying to make it work, but the people are not united. It's not working. Tafawa Balawa said it. Nnamdi Azikiwe, former president, said it. Former President Goodluck Jonathan. They all acknowledge that Nigeria is not a country. Why are we forcing these people to be together? Why they are different people? So we urge EU to do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. And this was my interview with the Prime Minister in exile of the Biafra Republic, a powerful personality who calls the European Union and the United States of America to recognize the Biafra Republic, to stop the genocide against Christians in Nigeria. And ex-Nigeria is the much better way for the world, much better, of course, for the Biafra people and for the Christians in Nigeria. It will be a stable partner for trade and for security and for prosperity for the Biafran people and as well for the free world. And I thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And also let me say that I will continue my fight towards freedom for Biafra.
Okay.
And it's a big honor that you have been joining our show.
Thank you very much. I just want to remind the EU as well that the Gulf of Guinea is in Biafran territory. They should remember what is happening in Yemen by the Houthis. If the Gulf of Guinea, if they allow this terrorist Nigerian state, because it's a terrorist state, with these terrorists, if they, for example, capture Biafra land, know that the Gulf of Guinea, they will disrupt trade, but we Biafran will resist. We'll make sure that we are free, and we want to remind them that when it comes to the business interest, we are open to negotiate, to do business with them. I think we will be the best ally to make sure that from the West African Sahel, we will checkmate the terrorists. Because what they are doing, they're trying to capture both Biafra land, Nigeria, or the surrounding West Africa, especially Biafra land, to attack EU from there. They should recognize Biafra so that we all can counter this terrorism and fight together. Thank you. The time is now. Biafra is here, and our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, must be released. The Nigerian terrorist state don't have the right to still be holding him because he commit no crime. And our leader, Mazi Simon Ekpa from Finland, he needs to be released. He's just a freedom fighter. Every country in the world fought for their freedom. United States of America fought for their freedom, 1776, from the Great Britain. So Biafra is fighting a just cause for freedom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. All the best from Austria, from Vienna. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.